Okay, so we're live. Let's just give it a minute or two before we get started. So you might just settle in. Okay, so welcome to this week's Sunday meditation. It's a beautiful sunny Sunday, at least here where I am in Gunsen. So yeah, if you made it here today, I'm impressed, and you should be thanking yourself for prioritizing and taking this 20 to 30 minutes to be with yourself, to cultivate mindfulness. So before we get started, let's just recap briefly a little bit what we talked about in the last weeks, where we observed how the mind tends to scan the past for memories, for situations, and start ruminating, and then project into the future. Start thinking about worries or different scenarios, and how it's kind of swings between the two, and how we constantly kind of escape the beingness in the present moment. So we talked about ways of addressing this. We talked about mindfulness coming from the word sati, meaning remembering. So it's kind of remembering this mode of being when we're not engaged in rumination or daydreaming or worrying or past and future, but we're actually in the being mode. And so mindfulness is kind of this remembering that being. And ways of training mindfulness, we've talked about, on the one hand, the capacity to zoom in, to direct our attention and actually focus. And we often use a breath, an anchor, such as the breath. So to be able to actually cut through distractions and mind wandering, and actually stay with whatever we're directing our attention to. So this is a skill that's really useful in our everyday life. It's it's one of the cornerstones of mindfulness practice, and one of the attitudes that's important here is a type of curiosity. So it's not just about strict discipline of forcing our mind, but it's actually more of an attunement, that we become really curious, and almost like we're becoming one with the breath that we're observing. The other training or capacity we talked about is more the zooming out. So becoming aware of the bigger picture, what's going on around us, and seeing, inviting, being open to different parts of our experience coming and going, and so on. And in this training, another attitude that's important is equanimity, acceptance, actually inviting in and not being pulled away or reacting to things that come up. If there's a distracting thought, or if there's a feeling of, let's say, tiredness, anger, whatever it is, that we don't react to it, but we're able to kind of zoom out and stay with this bigger picture. So it's really combining these two, that we're able to find the optimal balance between seeing the details of something and being able to zoom out and see the bigger picture, and to kind of go between the two to find the optimal balance, the optimal grip in any given situation. So that's what we're going to keep practicing today. We're going to start with a little bit of just landing and grounding, and then focus, and then zooming out. So you might just take your meditation position either on your chair with your feet flat on the floor, or cross-legged on a cushion on the floor. And start by just making sure that your posture is reflecting wakefulness and alertness, so that you're sending the signal to yourself to be awake. So make sure your back is straight without tensing, so you still relax in your body. You might close your eyes or just have a soft, unfocused gaze, whichever you're comfortable with. You can rest your hands in your lap or on your knees. And take this initial moment to shift your attention inward. Knowing there is a body. And take a few deep breaths just on your own. Perhaps inviting a relaxation spreading in the body. And on your next out breath, feel yourself settling into the seat. Feel gravity pulling you down toward the earth, toward the surface that you're sitting on. And let your breath come back to a normal rhythm. So you might feel your buttocks or your seat, your feet against the floor, perhaps a sense of pressure. So see if you can allow whatever is here. What does it feel like to simply sit here? To inhabit your body and the present moment. Again, feeling your lower body, a sense of support and groundedness. And then let's do a centering, starting by finding our length. So you might feel your spine, your back, all the way from your tailbone to the top of your head. And feeling a sense of dignity in your posture, inhabiting your full length. You might want to tuck your chin a little bit into your chest to make sure that the neck can be elongated, so that you feel your back all the way from the tailbone to the top of the head. relaxing your shoulders, and then feeling the width of your body from side to side. Might feel from one shoulder to the other, from one hip to the other, or one knee to the other. So feeling your entire width, where your boundaries of the body. And finally feeling your depth, starting with the front part of your body. Perhaps the nose, or your knees, your feet, the skin. So whatever is in front, the part of your body that's facing the world, all the way to the back of your body, feeling your back and feeling this depth. So centering by just taking the space in which you're sitting and coming to your breath now. No breath control or breath practice. Simply put your attention on the natural flow of the breath. Becoming curious, just observing how the breath is expressing itself. If it's relaxed or constricted, deep or shallow, even or uneven, simply just observe what the breath is like with the attitude of acceptance. Noticing the tendency for the mind to wander. Knowing that this is part of the process. No need to judge or react to the thinking, the distraction, the restlessness, or whatever's occurring. Just gently escorting your attention back to the breath. When you're noticing the mind is wandering, just relax and release the distraction and then return back to the sensation of the breath. It doesn't matter how many times your mind wanders. This is part of the training, simply coming back to the breath. And you might find it useful or helpful to find an anchor in the body where you feel the breath most clearly. So you might feel the air flowing through your nostrils, for example. Or you might feel the chest, your lungs, or perhaps your abdomen expanding and contracting. So just select an anchor and simply rest your attention on that anchor. This is the point to which you'll return every time you notice that the mind is in the past, in the future, or in some fantasy. Relax, release, return. And remembering the attitude of curiosity, of acceptance, not judging yourself for daydreaming or being distracted, but simply cultivating curiosity with the breath, deepening relaxation and your concentration. So we're going to now shift and start stepping back, zooming out a little bit. So you might want to take maybe a few deep breaths and just feel in once again to sensations in the body. If there's any discomfort or even pain, or if the body's feeling relaxed and comfortable, whatever is there, come back to the sense of embodiment. If there's any part of, or area of your body that's extra salient to you, you might place your attention there and breathe softly into that area. And then just noticing that thoughts and feelings, emotions in your mind and in your body are there in the background and that they're welcome. And opening also up now to different sounds. So the sense of hearing. So it might be the sound of my voice, maybe sounds in your room or outside the room. In my case, there's a ticking clock and a refrigerator. See what's present for you and just be curious to the whole soundscape, the entire world of sounds. Simply shift your attention there and be curious. Feeling at the same time your body, staying connected, Perhaps noticing again your breath. You might even want to gently open your eyes if you've had them closed to take in some visual appearance. Take in the room. Sensations in the body, thoughts and feelings, the breath, sound, sights, noticing that it's all happening at the same time. And see if you can remain open to as much of it as possible as you sit here. Reminding yourself of the attitude of curiosity and acceptance, of not reacting to what's happening in your awareness, simply remaining open to it. And see if you can allow the experience to be. So not doing so much, but more this remembering to be. We're going to end the meditation by just giving ourselves some gratitude and compassion. So it might be as simple as just silently to yourself saying thank you to yourself. Or you might recite some words of well wishes and perhaps bring to mind a person in your life whom you love or feel a lot of compassion and gratitude toward. Just see what that's like. Silently for yourself, thanking yourself or passing on some well wishes to this person in your mind's eye. And just take a few deep breaths and we'll close this practice. And I'd like to once again thank you for joining. And as always, if you have any questions or comments or anything, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to get in touch. So I wish you a beautiful Sunday and hope to see you next week.